Hi, this is my story. My name is Mark. I come from Northern Ireland. I am now 39 years old. In 2005, when I was 21, a friend of mine asked me and my brother, did we want to go to Thailand? And we both agreed. We went in April. During Songkran, we stayed for 2 weeks, and I fell in love with the place. We stayed in Pattaya for the full 2 weeks and just drank every night and got a different bar girl every night also. Back then, the girls only charged a maximum of $1,000. Bath for a long time. As soon as I got home, I booked another flight for July and stayed for 3 weeks. It was the same sort of holiday, just drinking every day and going with the girls. I then went to live in Australia on a 1-year working visa, but stopped off on Pattaya for 2 weeks in April 2007. That is when I met my ex-wife. She was only 18 at the time. She spoke perfect English and freelanced out of a bar on Soi 8. We hit it off straight away, and she stayed with me for 3 days. Then I had to fly to Australia. We kept in touch for months. I got sick of Australia. It wasn't for me. So I flew back to Thailand after only being in Australia for 3 months. I flew to Pattaya and met up with my ex-wife. I will use her real name as it doesn't bother me. Her name is Noom. Noom was a very smart girl, well-educated, and also loved football, just like myself. She was also very funny too. We stayed together for 2 weeks. Then I flew home to Northern Ireland to try and get a job. I was lucky and got a job in a school. The holidays were great, and I got 2 months every summer. So in 2009, I booked Thailand with my brother, and we stayed for 2 months. I met up with Noom again on my first night, and we ended up spending the full 2 months together. Now I am very streetwise, as growing up in Northern Ireland you have to be. So I knew what these girls were doing, i.e., having sponsors, etc. Noom had 2 sponsors, an Englishman and a man from Scotland. They would send her money every 2 weeks. She told me about these sponsors, and it didn't bother me as I knew it was a game they were playing. Noom would buy me gifts, take me for dinner, pay for drinks, etc. with the sponsors' money. She knew I wasn't a rich guy, and that didn't bother her. She also didn't ask me for money when we stayed together for the 2 months. All I had to do was pay for food and drink, really. I had many more trips to Thailand after my 2-month stay. I used to go at least 3 times a year. So I came home after 2-month holiday, and about 1 month later, got a phone call from Noom. She said she was pregnant. I couldn't believe it. I was shocked during the pregnancy. We had a few arguments over the phone, and we stopped contacting each other. I then went back out to Thailand in 2011. My baby had already been born. Noom contacted me and asked me, did I want to see my daughter? I am not the kind of man to abandon a child, so I said, okay, bring her to Pattaya. I then got a DNA test, and the baby was mine. So me and Noom sat down, and I told her, I want her and the baby to come to Northern Ireland to have a better life. She agreed. So in October 2011, I flew out to Thailand to make a visa for her. It was very simple, and within 3 weeks she had the visa. I paid for her flight, and she arrived in Northern Ireland in November. We had to stay in my dad's house for a few months until I got my own house. For me, her, and my daughter, I finally got one, and the 3 of us were happy together. Noom was so loving to the baby and always had a big meal cooked for me, coming home from work, and our sex life was also great too. Then in September 2011, Noom told me she was pregnant again. I couldn't believe it. It was 1 child was hard enough. I made her take 10 pregnancy tests. Then after the 10th, I did believe it. During the pregnancy, she was fine, happy, and her normal self. The baby was born in April 2012. It was a boy. I was so pleased. Our family was now complete. This is when everything started to go downhill. Noom started taking mood swings over the most silly things. We were always arguing. She would storm out of the house, leave me with my son, take my daughter, and say that she wouldn't be back. But always came back when she had calmed down. Roll on 1 year, and me and Noom separated. I couldn't take it anymore. She was going out with Thaw girl she had met in Northern Ireland. I found out they all slept behind their husbands' backs. And Noom was also doing it, as I found messages on her phone from a famous motorbike road racer from Northern Ireland. I confronted him, and he said he had slept with her, but she had told him that she was single. She would go out with her friends, leave me with the 2 babies, and not come home until the next day. I was just her babysitter while she went out and acted like a whore. You can take the girl out of Pattaya, but you can't take Pattaya out of the girl. So I moved into my own place, and I was so much happier. I went and seen my kids every day after work and even kept them to sleep with me overnight. Then this is when my nightmare started, and my life would change forever. One night I went to visit my kids. I called to Noom's house, and there was no light on, and she wasn't answering. So I rang her phone, and it was off. So I went back home and contacted one of her friends to ask where Noom was. She told me Noom had went to Thailand and had taken my kids. My heart sank. I sat for an hour not knowing what to do. She had blocked me on all social media sites and blocked me from calling or texting her. She then got in contact about 3 weeks later to say her head wasn't straight, and she went to Thailand to take some time out, but she'll be back with the kids to Northern Ireland. We spoke for about a week after she had told me this. Then again, I was blocked from contacting her, so I rang her auntie who lives in England. Her auntie then told me Noom was pregnant to a man from my own home country. I found out 1 week later this man was someone I know, and he lived 3 doors down from the house I used to share with Noom. I confronted this man, but I am not going to say what I did, but he didn't get off lightly as he was sniffing around her even when I was with her when she took my kids. I took a lot of time off work and lost my house as I couldn't pay the rent. I moved into my dad's 5-bedroom house and started going to work again. My dad is an alcoholic and threw me out of his house for no reason at all. At the lowest point of my life, I still haven't spoke to him. Right up until this current day, I booked a flight to Thailand in Christmas 2018 for 3 weeks and went and had a great time in Pattaya. It was a solo trip on my way back while having a stopover in Moscow. My friend's dad sent me a photo and asked me, was this my ex-wife? I couldn't believe it. It was her. She is working in a restaurant in Pattaya. I went into the restaurant's Facebook page and told the manager could he get Noom to contact me. He said no, so I told him, I will send a few people around as I have many friends in Pattaya, and they can get her for me. He then changed his tune and Noom contacted me. I asked her what she had been doing for 4 years and why she had taken my kids away. She said she had been working in Korea in a factory. I then told her I want my kids back. She said I can have my son but not my daughter. Now this is a woman that took my kids to Thailand, had her other pregnancy, and went straight to Korea to be a hooker. What kind of mother is she? My son told me the day his mom went to Korea. She told him she was going to the shop and he walked around the streets of his village trying to find her. He was only 3 years old. This broke my heart. The thought of a baby looking for his mom. He didn't see his mom for around 3 years after that. So I flew out to Thailand in July 2018 and got my son. But a part of the deal was I had to divorce Noom. I not her. Not a problem. Let's go now and do it. So we went and got divorced. She played a few silly games with me and made me wait 3 days before I went home, before she signed my son over to me. My son was so malnourished, his teeth were all black and his head was full of scars. He also couldn't speak a word of English. I found out when I got him home, when he started speaking broken English after about 1 month. His grandma in Thailand used to beat him, starve him, and even tried to kill him. I met this woman once and she looked evil. She even tried a scam on me saying she would sell me land for cheap. But as I've already said, I am street smart and didn't fall for this scam the whole time. I was with Noom. Her family didn't get 1 penny off me, as I think this is why her mom hated me so much. Noom has a brother and her mom loves her brother and made Noom pay for his university fees. She made Noom go crazy, sucking all the money out of her. Her brother is now a doctor in Thailand while I was over getting my son. Noom told me she would have been diagnosed with bipolar. She was also a drug taker and had lost so much weight now. Onto the good part. I don't believe in Godichi, but I believe in karma, and karma finally caught up with Noom in 2020. I was collecting my son from school and got messages through PayPal. They were in broken English, so I knew wasn't Noom, as her English was perfect effect. It was the police in Pattaya asking me for money. They said, I have been caught with drugs. Please send me money or I will go to jail. I ignored the messages and once again called her auntie to ask if this was true. Is Noom in jail? Her auntie made a few phone calls and got back to me and said, yes, it's true. I know this sounds bad, but I laughed as this is what she deserved for what she put me through to blank my kids out. I turned to cocaine, which I was taking every weekend or even sometimes during the week. Then after 2 years, I tried to forget about my kids, thinking I would never see them again. It was just pure luck. My friend's dad came across Noom and I cannot thank him enough, as I was going down a bad path. I was also working 7 days a week for 3 years, just to take my kids off my mind and to keep myself busy. I was a very angry person during the 4 years without my children. and got into football violence, where two firms from different football clubs would meet up and fight each other. This was a way of releasing my anger. My son has now been in Northern Ireland with me for just 5 years now. When he first came, he found it hard with the new culture as his mom took him to Thailand when he had just turned 3. He is now 11. He has lots of problems still from his past life and goes to counseling. He has had problems in school lashing out at other kids, but the counselor has explained why he does this. He is a very smart kid and will go places if he can get his anger problems sorted. So now he does boxing and he loves it. He is a very good boxer. He has his first fight in February 2024. It's his way of getting his anger out. Now Noom got 3 years in jail. She got caught with 3 grams of crystal meth. I took my son to Thailand in July 2023, and we met up with my daughter, who is now 13, and Noom came along too. She got released from jail in June 2023. She had changed so much for the better. Well, so I thought she was the girl I first met. So kind, funny, and she had put weight on. She looked great. So we all stayed together for 10 nights. I booked her a separate hotel room from me, but my son and daughter stayed in my room the night before. Nu was leaving with my daughter to go back to her village. My son had a breakdown. He was heartbroken that once again his mom was leaving him. I told Noom to come to my hotel room the next day, sat her down and asked her, does she want to come and live in Northern Ireland? We don't have to live together. It's just for my son to think we are still a family, as that's why he is. That's what he is missing in his life. Every child needs their mother. She agreed and said she would come. So me and my son came back home. I sent Noom money to buy passports for her and my daughter. She sent me the booking of the passport interview. 2 weeks went on. I asked had she got the passports yet. She made some silly excuse that she needed her cousin to take her to Pattaya because she lost her passport there and needed to report it to the police. Another 2 weeks went on, and still no passports. The old Noom was back. My daughter then told my son Noom had a Thai boyfriend. When I asked her, was this true? She blocked me on social media again, so she has picked a Thai man over her son. She is one nasty piece of work. So I broke the news to my son, which it didn't really bother him. I think he knew himself. She was never going to come here. Just a tip to everyone who goes to Pattaya: go and have fun. F them and forget them. And please do not get involved emotionally with these girls, as they just want to suck all your money away from you. No wonder. Wonder so many men leave Pattaya and Thailand broken men. I think I was only 24 when I met Noom and she was 18. We were both young and silly. The only reason I married her was to get my daughter a visa. I never really loved her. I could always get women in my home country. I had no problems with that. The biggest mistake of my life was getting involved with a Thai bar girl. But one more thing: once a hooker, always a hooker. These girls do not know how to show love. It is all an act, and they are the best actresses in the world. Me having my son now and being a single father is the best thing that ever happened to me. I also work 40 hours a week to give him the life he deserves in a well-paid job. I hope the people watching this listen and just go to Thailand, have your fun, come home, and don't let these girls suck you. And money is number one. Thank you for watching our channel. For more real-life stories, please subscribe. If you have a story from Thailand or Asia that you would like to share, feel free to email us using the address provided in the description. We would be happy to read it out.